Hey folks, welcome back to We on the Rig. Mandy Collins, as you already know, and Chief Bush, as always, hanging out with me today. Getting into some oldies but goodies, I guess. So the SAM towers that we have out, and they've been out for a while, but we just have never really sat and reviewed with them, and it sounded like we got a whole bunch of good feedback about the E1 pumpers when they came in. So kind of just rewind a little bit and we're going to touch base on these SAMs. So quite a few people have gotten checked off on them, and then they kind of get rusty on their skills, as we all do. If you don't use it, you lose it. So we're going to go back over just some basic things, since it is significantly different compared to the Gen 2 all steers and everything else that we have out there. So we're going to tackle that after, right? Wait, we're gonna do that one first. We're gonna do Sam first.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna do Sam first.
I don't have my energy drink today, so
Sorry about that.
Sorry, So we're gonna do the Sam first, and then after that, Chief Bush is gonna get into some questions that have come up about the governors on the new E1 pumpers, right?
Yep.
So that's pretty much what we got. We did a lot of pre-filming for this, so you don't have to sit here and listen to us just run our jaws. We're going to go right to some stuff that we did out of Station 8. And again, thank you to the guys there on the B shift. You guys saved us because we just needed to get that stuff done, so appreciate you. So, all right, I guess if you guys want to roll, we'll start with the basic. The first video you're going to see is just a basic SAM setup, as far as just general operation, no real issues. Take it away, 1075. Hey guys, we're here at the good old Ocho with Master Firefighter Wallace, and I know there's been a lot of talk. We've been trying to get around to it, but other things have come up, so now we're actually getting a chance to just touch on the SAMs, which have been out for quite a while, but there's a bit of a difference, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah.
With the setup and the operation of these towers. So I know there's been folks that have been out there, they have gotten checked off on them, and they haven't driven them for a while, and they want some refresher. And for those folks who are getting ready to get checked out, or in the process of getting ready to check out, hopefully this will kind of help you along with that to understand a little bit better before you get your hands on. I'm talking to you guys down there, Station 1. You better be ready. All right. So thanks again, man, for me bugging you and getting you to do this stuff right now. But go ahead. We'll take it away. I know myself, you as drivers with this, we got a little bit of a rep from, or a representative from Pierce. They came out and they kind of discussed setups. And out in the field, we've come to find out pretty quickly that it doesn't always work the way they want us to set it up, right? Oh, yeah. So the level assist on this thing, you want to go into a little detail?
I know I actually got a chance, because of working with drivers training, I got a chance to go through the Pierce factory training twice.
Yep.
With the SAMs. And I know both times the Pierce rep really wanted us to use that level assist to set the truck up.
Yeah.
It's super quick. It's very easy. It takes a lot of, I don't want to say the guesswork, but it takes a lot out of it to get the truck level. But what I found over very short time, actually the first day we put ours in service,
yeah.
When I went to set up on any sort of slope or grade, if the truck itself wasn't almost perfectly level when we went to set it up, it really hindered the setup process and almost scared me. The guys here laughed at me because I went to set it up, and the way the truck sets up and tries to auto level itself, it picked the whole truck up off the ground and had the thing, to me, in a very unstable position.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to some places in our first two area and practiced setting up on different slopes and grades. And like I said, came to quickly find out that unless you were pretty much perfectly level to start with, using that auto level was definitely not the way to go.
Yep. Yeah, I found that out the hard way too. Ran a fire off East-West Highway with fire blowing out of a window, and that level assist did not work. So we'll go over just basic level assist. relatively flat ground operations, and it's pretty much takes all the guesswork out of setting it up. However, also this slope, and as far as how we can manually set this up, because even though that's what Pierce wants us to do, you'll see as we get into it, it does not work that way all the time. All right, cut. So we'll go around to the back. You want to start it up?
I was going to say, do you want the thing started up and ready to go?
Put in PTO. I'll throw the ground pads down. All right, so as far as Pierce is concerned, there is nothing in Pierce that says that we need to use these ground pads, and they go just on the stabilizers, not on the outriggers. However, for Montgomery County, I hate to tell you folks, this is what they want us to use. So these ground pads, they need to be set up underneath of the stabilizers, all right? So as we have the ground pads for the stabilizers, you can see on the outrigger itself, it has a built-in pad on this. So as we pull this pad out and extend it, I'll show you the operation of it, but it is actually on a swivel. So if there is a position that you need to get it in and you need to get in between two cars or a narrow spot, this does have the ability to move. You want to just pull this outrigger out real quick. So as you can see, as the outrigger does come out, you do have the ability to maneuver it in different ways. There is in the back of these outriggers a guide plate that will guide this round pad back into place. As you can see, you see it right here. It's on a basically a spring. So the big point is when we do set these up, you can short jack this rig, and we are able to short jack this outrigger. But with that, it has to be brought out at least 5-6 inches so that you don't just raise this pad back up and break your guide plate. Okay, so we're just going to do the basic. I'll let you go ahead and talk your way through just the basic level assist of this tower, which is, again, takes the thought process out of everything, and it's pretty easy. However, it's not going to work 100% of the time, hence this portion of the video.
All right. So obviously the biggest difference between the controller for these SAMs and the controller that we had for the rear mounts and even back to the E1s is we only have control over individual control over our middle outriggers. When it comes to the jacks for the front and the rear, we don't have individual controls for each jack. And we'll kind of go over talking about how to set those up manually. The biggest thing that we have to remember when setting these SAMs up is that we need to put our middle outriggers out and down prior to trying to set up the front or rear jacks. The computer system should not let you set up the front or rear without having firm on ground lights on your middle outriggers. As Master Firefighter Collins said, we can short jack these so they don't have to be fully extended, but we do have to have firm on ground lights. We do have to have firm on ground lights on these middle outriggers before we can move on in our setup. So we'll go ahead and finish putting our middle outriggers out. The other big thing with the setup is when we go to put the middle outriggers down, you will get the audible tone. You need to remember to hold those down and continue holding them down until that audible tone shuts off. And that's when you should have your firm on ground lights, the sensors kick on, letting us know that we have enough pressure on those jacks in order to move on. So once we get our firm on ground lights on the middle outriggers,
you guys can see all four, so we're good. We're not in short jack.
Then we can move on. And the way that Pierce wanted us to do the setup is using this level assist button in the bottom left-hand corner of our controller. When we push the level assist button, it's imperative that we push the button and we hold the button down. We did learn early on, and I think that CMF went back and fixed the problem.
Which was that?
there was a problem if you let go of it and then pressed it again, that it wasn't leveling the truck out. I know we had an issue here where one of our front outriggers would continue to extend and push the truck out a level.
Yeah.
I think that was just a computer programming issue. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that was taken care of.
Yeah, there were some glitches in this thing, but yeah, like you said, again, just like there's outriggers, as it sits and it stops beeping, that's when the level assist itself is done as well.
Yeah.
If you do it beforehand, you're not set up properly as far as for the truck's computer, what it thinks.
So in order to set the rears and the fronts out, like I said, Pierce wants us to use that level assist button. You push that down, you hold it, continue to hold it until the audible alarm stops. You will notice that only the rears will come down and they will set themselves. Then the fronts come down, set themselves, and then the truck tries to level itself out using the computer system. But back to our old school inclinometer, it tries to get it on that 0 degree axis on a slope and on a grade.
Did they move yours? Ours, it's in here now. Did they?
Our front
Oh,
to
okay.
rear.
You still have it. So
Yep.
okay. So you have to check the different trucks. Ours has been moved, but the front to back is here on the side. So as far as identifying the position of where they are, that's them.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and hit the level assist button. Instead, you'll see the rears come down, and then the fronts will come down, and then it levels itself out. Oh. So continue to hold the button. Now we've got technically 6 firm on ground lights. We have the 2 for the midship outriggers, and then the 4 jacks on the 4 corners, front and back.
So as this thing is set up, and it is set up now, we have the 6 points of contact. We were trying to get some clarification before we started running our mouths up here. I believe it's 3 points of contact for the truck itself, for the aerial to be operable. And the reason why I go off of that and saying that is because you will see when you operate this aerial, if you are off to one side or the other, you will see that the stabilizers or the outrigger will come up off the ground. If it's not really planted down.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's okay. The truck will let you operate just as long on that working side that you do have those 3 points of contact, which we believe, and I'll try and get further clarification by the time we actually are really talking live. And it's 2 stabilizers and a tire, or a stabilizer, outrigger, and a tire. The other thing with this one that's different from the all steers is that this one does have the ability, if we are on a different incline, the front tires of this rig are actually allowed to come up off the ground, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So with the old all steers, the front tires were to always be in contact with the ground. It's changed with this one, and probably because there's just more points of contact, I would assume.
Yeah, so we can have the front tires off the ground.
Yep.
You just have to be cognizant that your front jacks are planted firm on ground before you rotate the ladder over the front of the cab.
Yep. And you will see, hopefully you get a chance to play around with one of these, but the throw of the stabilizers in the rear, as opposed to the ones in the front, is significantly smaller, right? So if we can still at all possible, right, it's probably going to be better to, if we're going to have some kind of raise, come off the rear.
Yeah, I do remember Pierce, when the Pierce rep was here, the second time I went through the training, he kept emphasizing if we were going to arrive on the scene of a call, try to have the front end uphill. Because like you said, the throw on the front jacks is much shorter, so we won't be able to adjust for that slope quite as much as we can if the rear is downhill.
Yep. So that's pretty much it as far as for the basic level assist. A couple things I guess we can just talk about, though. If for some reason these outriggers aren't planted, it will not allow you to move those outriggers. Well, it's like say you do put it in level assist, and this has happened to me, so I don't know if you guys have had this issue, but what will happen is you'll plant your outriggers, And once you plant them, and as the unit starts leveling itself out, it may have a tendency to get one of those outriggers not in contact with the ground anymore.
Yes.
Have you had that?
Oh, yeah.
So at that point, you can't really adjust the front or rear anymore until you again plant those center outriggers. Those center outriggers absolutely have to be in contact. All right.
Yep.
All right. Stow.
So, stowing it, one of the big things that I teach the people here when I'm doing driver's training, we talked about having the firm on ground lights for our midship outriggers when we set it up. And that if we don't have those firm on ground lights, it won't allow us to put the front or rears down. However, when we're tearing the truck down, putting it away, we were told that it is possible to pick the midship outriggers up, pick those jacks up, while the front and rear are still planted. The issue with that is, and maybe we can get a shot of it at some point, since the ladder goes so far beyond the turntable, the guy told us that the biggest issue was putting that ladder through the back of the cab. So I always stress to my people not to move those midship jacks prior to getting the rear jacks off the ground, or prior to getting the front or rear off the ground, because that all that weight will cause it to sag in the middle and put the ladder through the back of the cab, cause a lot of damage.
And hitting just the stow and rear again, which is just completely different than the other setup, but hitting that stow or rear will bring everything up.
Yeah, it brings all six up at once.
As long as you just hit the stow and rear button, it's all going to come up together and come up fairly evenly. So that's pretty much the way I tell my guys to pull it down too.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and put that away.
Okay. And as he's doing this, as you can hear, he's the same thing with the audible. That audible, it will go all the time until it is fully stowed. So you will hear these audibles if things are not fully stowed. There's actually a delay a little bit in that audible. As you can see, they look like they're physically all in, and you'll still hear that beeping. Just let it keep going in until it's fully stowed. One thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if you've had it on this particular truck, but especially when it's cold out, if you don't stow those things all the way, even if you do with a hydraulic system, every once in a while there's a tendency for those outriggers to give a little bump out. Have you had that with this one?
We haven't had as many issues with the midship outriggers, but I've noticed the front and rear jacks will loosen themselves up a little bit and maybe hang down.
See, we got the opposite. Ours all come up, but the stabilizer, it will, I mean, when I say like a 1/10 of an inch, that's really what it is. But you'll drive down the road, you'll hit a bump, and all of a sudden you have this don't move truck, stabilizer deployed, and when you get back to the station, you put the PTO in, stow everything again, bring in the outriggers, and it's gone. So, I mean, just like everything, right? There's a little bit of glitches, but as long as you know how to overcome them and understand what's going on with the truck itself, shouldn't have an issue.
Yep.
All right. All right, so a couple things with that video. One, when you look at the video, you see that the remote that we're using, it appears that the lights are flashing. Those lights are not flashing. Those lights shouldn't flash. If they do, something's wrong, probably with that computer. And they've actually have had a lot of problems with them. Chief Butsch, I don't know if you know that or not, but they have been slowly replacing those remotes.
Correct.
So those lights, even though it looks like it on the video, they do stay solid. If something is not solid on them, there is some sort of connection issue or some kind of malfunction. So that's just the way it looked. That's the first thing. Second, I was wrong about I said 3 points of contact. That is incorrect. It is not 3. It is 2. And I found this out later on that day, but we already filmed and we were at 8 for a while, so I figured I'd just clear it up now. So the minimum point of contact for these things, when you're operating, to have those stabilizers, outriggers down, it is a minimum of 2 if you're operating off that side. The Pierce manufacturer and the way that it goes, and I think this kind of has to do with somehow with that level assist that will, in the next clip, you'll see how it doesn't work. But Pierce, it's designed so that that truck will operate and lift completely off of the suspension. So if it's operating completely off the suspension, and I don't even know why I said that, I brain fart, I guess, right? But yeah, you do not have to have a contact of a tire on the ground. And I don't know. Maybe I was half asleep when I was there at 8 in the morning. I have no idea. But no, it's 2 points of contact, and obviously you can have the tires off the ground. But if you operate in a certain way, it's as long as those 2 points are on the ground, the truck will operate. I think that was it for that one.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your clarifying that, and I think the rig itself does a really good job of telling you where you can safely operate.
Yeah, you'll see it like as far as once we get to that like bucket control part or whatnot. It's gonna Smiley does a great job. He's gonna be the next live guest on here. He was he was like, "Oh man, I don't want to do this." It's like, "You did great, man.
No, he did
Thank
great.
you." He
Yeah.
did. So but yeah, so he goes over all that, and I think it's the last clip that we have for this.
Yep.
Again, if there's things, we're going to go in. The second clip that we have is going to go towards the manual setup for the SAM. So we're going to go over that, explain that. If you have questions, again, if you're watching it live and there's other things that you have that we can try and figure out and answer or whatever, just shoot it in. Are you good? Nothing on your feed yet?
Yeah, nothing on the feed, so that's
Okay.
good. But
Okay.
we have the number of viewers has gone up, so that's great. I did want to just reinforce the use of the ground pads. So
Yep.
the one of the reasons for including the ground pads even on these is we don't always operate in environments where we got a nice level concrete 5,000 psi
Right.
apron. In fact, I had a picture sent to me within a couple of weeks of one of these going in service where the front,
One of the SAMs.
yeah,
Okay.
the SAMs, one of the front stabilizers had actually punched through the asphalt of that parking lot that it was in at a garden apartment fire. So,
Yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, it's asphalt; it gets soft, right?
Right.
So, not even with anything, but just obviously hot weather and things
Yeah.
like that. I mean, you're just giving yourself a bigger footprint to
Right.
kind of spread that out. But yeah,
And,
that's
and they're needed on the other trucks, so just developing that muscle memory is pretty important.
so.
Yep.
So you heard from the chief. Use your ground pads.
Right.
All right. All right. If the media gods are ready back there, we'll go ahead and roll to the manual setup of the SAM. Go. Okay, so now we're going to go again. This time we're going to show you the manual setup. So we're still in the same position, so you just kind of got to use your imagination a little bit with this. But like we said, if you were on some sort of incline, it can be kind of tricky because the truck itself wants to level itself out, and it just doesn't do it the way that we would expect it. So it is a lot easier, a lot more time efficient, I would say, to just try and manually set it up. So as far as the manual setup for this on some kind of grade or slope.
So the beginning of it's still the same. We're going to set our midship outriggers, stabilizers out. We run those down until we get our firm on ground lights for both of those. Now, instead of using the level assist, we're going to go over here to the bottom right corner. There's a joystick next to the front firm on ground and rear firm on ground. So this can be referred to as your tilt switch. We'll kind of talk about the tilt function once we get the truck set up. But essentially, once we have our firm on ground for our midship outriggers, we can either put down our fronts or we can put down the rear first. If we're going to put down our rear first, we take this joystick and we just pull the joystick back or down And again, we're going to hear that audible alarm. And we go till we get our 2 firm on ground lights for the rear, and that audible alarm shuts off.
And as you can hear it, it's beeping and then stopping and beeping again. If you could tell, Master Firefighter Wallace had his hand on it the whole time. So that's just the truck thinking. There is a little bit of a delay with it, but just let it do its thing.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing. Like, don't try to rush this, and always check these lights. Make sure that you get your lights on there. So we're still good on the midship. Now we have our rear firm on ground. With that same switch, if we push it forward, that's going to lower our front jacks. So we push that forward. We're going to continue to hold that until that audible alarm shuts off again. So that time it did it right away. And now we have all 6 firm on ground lights. So again, right here, we're kind of set up, unfortunately, in a pretty level area. So we're still pretty close to that 0 degree mark. You know, if we were in the yellow, 8 degrees or higher, and we need to get this truck set up into the green so that we can operate at 100%, that's where this switch is now going to turn into our tilt switch.
This is where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
I think this screws a lot of people up. So we'll go into this a bit.
I try to make my biggest adjustment first. So obviously, ideally, we're going to be set up on perfectly level ground. That's an ideal situation, but that doesn't happen all the time. So say we're parked with the front end uphill and I need to raise the rear end, but that we're level side to side. I can just take this tilt switch, and if I push it forward, it's going to raise the rear and dip the front. So you guys will notice that it stopped itself. And this is one of the things that I try and stress to my folks here. If you're rushing around and you think that audible stopped itself, and I still have firm on ground lights for the front and rear, the reason it stopped itself is because my driver's side stabilizer lost contact with the ground. So I might not be level where I want it, but I'm not going to be able to make any further adjustments until I put that outrigger back down on the ground. So again, this is where it gets tricky, because now that one's firm on the ground, I lost my firm on the ground on the front. So I'm not going to be able to use this as a tilt switch anymore until I get the firm on ground back on the front. So I push it forward, and it readjusts. With this tilt switch, it allows us to tilt it to the front, to the rear, and then side to side. Like I said, I try to make my biggest adjustment first. So if I need to raise the back end up higher, I adjust that first and then make a small adjustment side to side if I need to get it in that level. I have come to realize that doing it this way, I'm probably not going to get close to those zeros side to side or front to back.
Yeah.
If that was possible, we would probably just be able to use the level assist.
And again, if you try and use the level assist after you've went through and manually have done this,
it's just
going to keep raising.
Yeah. And I think anybody that remembers or was trained on the rear mount all steer towers, those also have a level assist switch on them, but those things would,
and we weren't supposed
we weren't supposed to use it, and those things would jack the truck way up,
right,
and get it essentially operating in an unsafe position.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the manual setup isn't hard. I was always just used to having 4 separate switches for 4 separate outriggers, being able to adjust each of them independently. Obviously, with this tilt switch, that's a little bit different. But that's also a big part of our driver's training here, is setting up on uneven ground.
Yep.
Because that's going to be your hardest setup.
Yeah, and I will say we do the same thing. We go to, whether it's front, back, side to side, setting up on all different angles, just so that you yourself as a driver operator is comfortable in doing this. And then once put into a high stress situation, it just kind of rolls off. So the thought process, I think, behind the level assist was great for Pierce. They're trying to take some of the guesswork out of it. Uh, I I will say that I think that's great, but you don't really get a chance to think and understand the way that the truck works. So if you are in fact trying to operate one of these, become a driver operator one of these, you need to be very confident, I guess.
Well versed in
well versed in the way that this remote works, because it is a completely different setup. The big part of the confusion with this is that, again, when you're setting this thing up, just like Master Firefighter Wallace did, the orientation of the tilt switch changes as from when you are setting the stabilizers themselves, and then from when you're going to level the truck, right? So if this thing is fully up, right, and we are now deploying those stabilizers, and you push down, right, those rear stabilizers, because you're pushing down and you're in the back of the truck, the rear stabilizers are going to come down, right? And then when you push up, the front stabilizers will come down. However, when you get into that point that everything is in contact, that tilt mode, this is going to change. This toggle switch changes orientation, which confuses a lot of people, okay? So just, again, put your hands on it, get used to it, be familiar with it, so that you're not throwing yourself out of whack when you really need it. All right, so just a real quick overview of cribbing, right? There is tons of uses for it, right? Whether we have soft ground, whether we have some type of an even ground, like a curb or something like that. Obviously, we're using our imagination, so we're just giving you a generalization of setting cribbing down. Something like a curb, you may have to offset that and utilize cribbing to get a better flat surface for the stabilizer itself. But something you brought up, and it is very true with these rigs, is using the cribbing on the front stabilizers, especially on these new mid-mounts.
Yeah, so like we had already talked about, because the throw on those stabilizers on the front are much shorter, we're not always going to be in that perfect position where we can position with the front end uphill. So we need to add a little bit of height to that, using our box cribbing that comes on the trucks. Not box cribbing, using our cribbing that comes on the trucks can give us a little bit of extra length for that stabilizer. If need be, you might only need it on one side, like if the slope slope side to side, you might only have one side that doesn't make contact with the ground. So that's just a thought that we can run with there to add that little bit of extra height to those front jacks.
Yeah, sure. And then also with that, and we talked about as far as talking about side to side, we know with these new rigs, and we'll show you here in a minute, but the operations of this ladder off of the side goes extremely low. So when we're looking at maybe some kind of low angle, whatever it may be, you got somebody in the pond over there, I don't know. But if you have something like that, we really need to get that low angle. We could also try and use some cribbing to try and get a little bit more of a tilt out of the side to get a lower reach.
Yep.
Okay. Hopefully some of this has explained for you guys. And if not, feel free to contact Drivers Training. If you're watching this and it's on the live show, shoot us a question and we can try and answer it. But there's definitely some big differences with the setup of this if you're not familiar with it. And I'm sure myself, you, anybody else that drives these things, if you're detailed in for the day, ask, come on out, and we'll play around with you guys with it. Oh, now we're back. Thanks for the heads up, yes. Brennan. We were sitting here during that, and we were just messing with them back there, and I guess they just put me on blast now. So, I'm sorry, Gabe. Everybody, Gabe's back there in the media, and I'm sorry. The chat does work. I'm sitting here yelling at them. Okay, so hopefully that explained as far as the manual setup. The one thing that we're not going over, and we call it the no-no box, is the overrides. We're not going to talk about overrides here today. We're not talking about any of that because, number one, it's extremely dangerous. That's why it's the no-no box. You can really screw this truck up by doing manual overrides on it if it's really not needed. So you better be damn sure that it's needed. And of course, if you're in a station with that, that's something that in time you'll get to see and understand the operation. But just honestly, for the for overall safety, we did not get into any of that. So we won't answer any questions on that. You're just gonna have to get your hands on it to play around with that. The last clip that we have is just of the bucket operations. So we'll go ahead and let that roll unless you got anything.
Just wanted to clarify about the operations of that remote control.
Yeah.
Thought it was pretty interesting how the joystick moved back and forth between two different modes, but you don't necessarily know which mode it's in because there's no light that tells you that. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, so what the chief's talking about is obviously since it's not the normal just for, one joystick for each outrigger.
Right.
That bottom right joystick, that is technically it's for your front and rear stabilizers, but it also acts as the tilt mode.
Right.
Once those things come in contact with the ground, the only way that you can tell that it's going to be in that tilt mode is if you look at the controller itself and see that your firm on ground lights are set up. If your firm on light grounds are set up, then it will be operating in tilt mode. That's it. So you really, again, it's just one of those things you just got to put your hands on it, play with it, kind of know what you're looking at. And like I said, that's the biggest thing because people, once everything's set on the ground and it says firm on ground, and now they're looking at the level and they're like, oh, okay, well, I need to raise the front up. I need to raise the front up more. So they hit to the front and the rear pops up because it's now it's tilting the rig forward. And that's where things get screwy. And if you are in one of those situations where you need it now, you're just completely throwing that thing out of whack. So it's a lot of reps, honestly. It's just getting your hands on it and just getting the reps in with it to really familiarize yourself with it. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, like you said, you could think it's all on ground, firm on ground.
Yep.
And then you do something to change that. Mm-hmm. It's not firm on ground anymore, so now it's reverted back to the initial function.
Yeah, and like I said, and then again, if you push up too much, and you've raised those, the outriggers themselves now off the ground. Now nothing's gonna work.
Right.
You got to put them back down.
Right.
All right. So you just have to know what you're looking at on there and how to set it up. So.
Cool.
All right. There is one more clip for the SAM, and this is all about the operation, bucket control, and everything up there as far as our functions go. So, Gabe, whenever you're ready. As we're sitting here, hopefully you can see it from your vantage point with the camera. But as you can tell, operating this ladder is going to be significantly different as well. The base of the cog, as you can see, your ladder retracts past that base. Extend the ladder to get the full raise. So right now, as Dave's moving this ladder, you can see he's doing two operations at once. He's extending and raising at the same time. You have to do that. If you don't, this ladder will not raise up. Okay, the extend has to come out. So what will happen is if you are completely retracted with that ladder, you will only be able to get about 6 degrees of raise. Once that 6 degrees of raise is reached, there is no other way you can do it besides maneuvering that ladder either out of the cradle or maneuvering the extension part of that ladder up. So as you can see right now, as Dave's extending this ladder up, he's limited at this point. Now, as he raises this up, probably around 40 feet, once that gets about 40 feet, you'll have full operation of that ladder because you can see that the fly sections of that ladder are actually extended up past that cog. Once he reaches this point, now you have full control and you're not limited as far as any place that you can go with that aerial. Same thing when you retract it down, right? What we're going to try and do, if we can get here in this position, is show the low angle of this ladder as well. And we can operate this thing pretty much below ground. I'll bring it down. So with the operation of this ladder, what will happen ideally is you'll get into some, not ideally, you'll get into some sort of position where you need to have a lower sweep. And when you get to that lower reach with this ladder, you can't retract it anymore. So you need to be very mindful, as we do with all of our aerial apparatuses, as to how we're positioning this thing. But again, it's just going to take reps. It's going to take some practice and some stick time just to get familiar with the operations of what your limitations are. And I'd like to tell you a different degree, but there is a lot of different degrees of how it can be fully extended. The basic, what I can tell you is it will only raise 6 degrees out of that cradle without the fact that you have to extend it. Like I said, once you get to around roughly 40 feet extension is pretty much when you're going to have 100% operation without any limitations. Other than that, it really depends on if you're left or right of the cab and what your angle is that you're looking for. So it does vary from position to position. Once the ladder's off the side, it can pretty much fully retract because there is no cab, right, that is going to come in any kind of collision avoidance with the back of that stick. So he has the ability to bring this thing all the way down to the ground. This is something that obviously we couldn't do with the old austere towers. It's a pretty neat function, especially if you have some kind of low angle. I've actually thought about using it as far as when we have these flooding issues or something. So there's definitely different tools that we can use this for. He looks good, doesn't he? See how he looks on camera?
All right, so we have our command zone, very similar to what was on the rear mount all steers, with a few added screens in there. So this is our home screen. It's just going to show us our load chart as far as each section of the ladder, how many pounds we can have in there, rung alignment, our angle of elevation. So right now we're negative 14 degrees. And if we were flowing water, how many gallons a minute of water we're flowing. So down in the bottom right, we have our page button. You can just click on that and it takes us through. So this shows us the setup of the truck, the grade, the angle that we're at, front to back, and then slope side to side. And then you guys can get a good visual representation here. What we were talking about when we were setting the ladder truck up itself, when we're operating off the side. So right now we're off of the officer side of the truck. We actually lost contact with both rear jacks and the driver's side midship outrigger. If you look at them visually, you'll see that they're still in contact with the ground. They just don't have enough pressure on them to keep the sensors lit up. That's not really a concern to us because we do have the 3 jacks in contact, plus we have several tires in contact with the ground. But that's what this screen's showing us. As we would raise the ladder back up and transfer a little bit more weight, those will start to make contact with the ground again. But as long as our operational side, we have a couple of those green outriggers lit up, we're good. The next page shows us all of our ladder information. So front to back, the whole length right now is 23 feet. This number right here, the 24 feet that you see lit up, that's how far the ladder is extended from the turntable. So if we hit our extension, that number will change and increase all the way up to 93 feet. Again, our angle of elevation right now, we're at a negative 14 degrees. And then that 5 feet is our height off of the ground. So if we were to raise this up, extend it all the way out, we'd be at 100 feet there. So that's just kind of giving you that information, your hydraulic oil pressure and your temperature. So this screen is new to these SAM mid mounts. We didn't have these on the rear mount towers. Basically what this shows us is that the way the truck is set up, this large green circle, we can rotate this ladder 360 degrees all the way around. And with this green area here, we can operate from a negative angle all the way up to our 75-degree angle. The biggest thing that you're going to see change with these is if we were short jacked to one side, obviously same as the rear mounts. If you short jack the ladder truck, say on the driver's side, this half of the circle would show up red because we would not be able, the computer would not allow us to rotate over to that side. So this basically just shows us our operational area of the ladder. Again, 360-degree rotation, and we can go from our negative 15-degree angle all the way up to a 75-degree angle. And then we go back to that start screen. The other big difference with these that threw me for a loop at first, and I'm still not sure if I 100% like it, with the rear mounts that we had in the fleet, if you had collision avoidance come up or auto stow, any important information that would come up, we would always get a big yellow bar across the top and would tell us that information, anything that we needed to know in that moment. With these screens, you get this little triangle with the exclamation point in the lower right corner. And then this is a touch screen, so you have to touch on that. And then it gives you any of your faults. So right now, we have some coolant low, check engine light on. The aerial down and extension is limited. That's probably, we're down close enough to the ground that the under basket sensor kicked on, and then aerial object detected, so it's picking up the side of the ladder truck as well. So if a fault comes up, you no longer get a large yellow ribbon across the top or a large yellow banner across the top. You just get this little triangle down there, and you have to be able to touch it. So if you've got gloves on, you might have to take your gloves off in order to figure out what's going on. So anytime that we have collision avoidance with the truck itself or anything with the under basket sensor, that's where that's going to pop up at. All the other controls are pretty similar to what we had in the rear mounts. Speed control, you have normal and fast. The rear mount, we had slow, normal, and fast. So now we're just limited to 2 speeds. Emergency stop operates the exact same way. We can manually level the basket by flipping up that, holding that switch, enabling, and then we can go up or down with the front of the basket. The under basket sensor was added on after we had put these in service. So this is a new switch in there. Essentially, there's a sensor in the bottom of this platform. It'll allow you to get within 6 to 8 inches of an object, a roof line, whatever it is, and then that sensor kicks on. If for some reason you need to override that sensor, this is the switch that you can do it with. But you need to be 100% certain what's underneath of you and what made that sensor kick on in the first place. Obviously, a tree branch or some leaves or something like that could affect it, so that might be where you override it. But if we're over a roof line or something, you don't really want to override that to get any closer than what you already are. Same extend, retract, right and left, raise and lower, dead man switches. You pull up on the collar, operate the action that you want. If you release it, it goes back to that neutral position and stops that command. And then just some of your lights, tracking lights, operate the lights that are mounted on the side of the ladder so that we can see the ladder itself at nighttime. Front basket light and under basket light, obviously self-explanatory, can be helpful at night when positioning the tower bucket to a balcony, window, roof. And then we have our nozzle control. So we do have 2 nozzles on the front. The difference when these came out, All of our other nozzles in the past have been remote controlled with these switches, but now with our smoothbore nozzle, we do have manual controls. So these switches will only operate this nozzle to the right. All the ladder trucks, as far as I know, have the fog nozzle on there, and then the smoothbore tips are on the manually controlled nozzle.
Sweet bucket, Ocho. Montgomery Village. Looks good. I
Yeah,
like it.
does look
I
good.
like their designs. Um, I think that's all I had for the Sams. Chief, you have anything?
Yeah, there was a question came in from the Up County whether to support a 500 gallon per minute minimum master stream, and I'm assuming that this means for the tower, not on a wagon, because the engines already have an 1 3/8 stack tip. Whether the towers could have one. So we're gonna have to go back and think about this a little bit. Normally, when we do the rural master stream operation,
Yep.
instead of persisting with a 500 gallon per minute tanker shuttle, that's probably the point where we would be putting down drop tanks and moving to something larger.
Right.
But just thinking about it off the top of my head, those are automatic fog nozzles. That
Yep.
is one of the choices up there in the bucket on those new towers, and they may be able to flow 500 gallons per minute at a minimum. I just got to check that.
I would
don't
have to
remember.
go back and double check to look
Yeah,
at you
me
because
too.
honestly, every time we're flowing them, we're just flowing them.
Right.
There's not really a big shortage of water down county.
Right.
so,
Yep.
so, I would check. I remember the old ones on the Gen 2s, we were talking before. I think they were 750.
Could have been.
So I would have to check, but those 3/8, if that was the case, they would fit.
They should fit,
on
yeah.
the tips anyway.
You'd have to
So,
unscrew
in
with
a
it.
pinch, just
Yep.
maneuver it around, I guess.
Yep.
For the time being, until we
Yep.
figure more out.
Yeah. It's a good question. Made me think a little bit.
Yeah, valid. So that's what we got for the Sams. Again, I just think it takes a lot of practice and a lot of time just messing with it to get really comfortable with it. Again, folks that are drivers and haven't driven in a while, reach out to your companies that have them around or whatever. Just get out there and play with them. Right?
Absolutely.
Your company drill. I think we got a little bit more, and that was the feedback you got from the pressure governors, right? To switch topics a little bit and go back to these E1s, right?
Yeah, sure thing. So we did a video a ways back. Seems a ways back. It's probably just a few months.
I don't know. It's
It's been busy.
been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been busy.
been busy.
So we had pressure governors as a county back with the E1 Freightliners that we bought in the, and I'm dating myself, they started rolling in here in 99, 2000.
I got checked off on one of those, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
date myself now too.
Pretty bulletproof.
Right.
But that,
Just wouldn't die.
yeah. So pressure governors even back then weren't anything new. They've been used a lot. And actually any industry that uses pumps that moves fluids uses some form of pressure governor. So we're not unique in that respect. But we had a few issues with pressure governors with the Freightliners because they were two-stage pumps. So incoming hydrant pressure, and if you had those pumps in pressure mode or in series,
Right.
so you would go from 100 pounds hydrant pressure to 40 through the first stage and 40 through the second stage. You'd wind up with 180. And so the introduction of external water supply in that scenario could, and if you weren't paying attention to that, could be problematic.
Right.
So you'll hear Doug talk about it in a minute, but the pressure governors have gotten much better with a lot more control and a lot more responsiveness, and they're pretty much used by all three of the major pump manufacturers, which is why we chose to go forward with that in case we ever move from Hale to another pump.
Okay.
Right. So the TPM product, which you'll hear him talk about, is specific to Hale pumps. You can't buy it for Wallace or Darley or any of them. So there were some questions that came up. Hey, what do we do if we have a really hot hydrant, or if we're getting supplied by somebody else and we're getting a lot of incoming pressure, and we want to be able to regulate the outgoing pressure through one of our hand lines or whatever. So he's going to talk about it. I think he does a good job with that. So if we can go ahead and roll that video.
All right, good morning, Master Firefighter Doug Wallace, Fire Station 8 on the A shift, also Local 1664's union representation on the engine committee. As we've worked through getting all 9 of these new 2024 E1 pumpers in service, we've discovered some issues directly relating to the screen. Within the past few weeks, we've had 2 different engines that have had screen failures on the pump panel. That was significant enough that Hale actually flew some representation in here this week, and we've made some changes to try and alleviate that happening in the future, and also made some changes to make our actions better. So one of the things that we found out with these screens is that there was some plumbing piping on the inside that they feel was putting unnecessary pressure on the screens and causing them to fail. So we have done some changes inside with the piping to try and eliminate that pressure that the screens were getting. And we've also made some changes to make, again, our operations more effective should the screen go out on us, that we can still use the throttle. So previously, if we didn't have a screen, we could not choose between PSI and RPM mode. So therefore, we had no throttle. So one of the changes this week that Hale has done for us is we now have the pump defaulting to PSI. So when you put the pump in gear now, you no longer have to choose between RPM and PSI. It will automatically default to PSI. So that saves us a step. And the PSI mode is 99% of what we're going to do. Again, if you remember the training that we put out previously, PSI mode for basically all of our operation, and we're going to use the RPM mode if we are drafting or in a relay situation. So just keep in mind that that is a change that got made this week. Another change that they made that you'll see, we now have a MCFR logo as our default screen that when the pump goes into gear. Previously, it was Hale's logo. The guys, when they were here working on it this week, we now have our own MCFR logo that comes up. So that's another change that you'll see. And one of the additional changes is that they put a low voltage alarm as part of the system info here. And that low voltage alarm directly correlates to the NFPA 1900 standard. So we're going to do a couple more demonstrations for you this morning. We'll look at the screen a little bit further detail, and we're also going to go over pressure governors, because we've had quite a few questions come up about pressure governors, because most of our pump operators now are relatively new and they haven't been around long term, like guys like myself that remember back to when we did have the pressure governors, say like on the Freightliners and stuff. So be more when we take the engine outside and do a little bit of pumping with it. All right, so we're out back at Station 8 now. We're going to talk a little bit about pressure governors. Again, we haven't had pressure governors in a while. With the 2024 E1s, the pressure governor is our main way of being able to maintain the pressure that we're trying to pump. Again, the guys that haven't been around for a while, they've only known the TPMs that we've had really since 2008. But like I say, with the 2024 E1s now and probably moving forward, we're going to have pressure governors. With that said, we fielded a ton of questions as it relates to maintaining that pressure and what to do in an instance where you have too much pressure from your pump just being engaged and coming from our water source. We all know WSSC hydrants are pretty good, so we may encounter a situation where our at idle pressure is above what we're trying to pump, and what do we do about that? So again, 80% of the pumpers that are bought in the United States come with pressure governors. So again, while this might be new to some people, it really is the norm in the fire service. And again, we just all have to get used to it. So just recently, we've had hail in Montgomery County doing some changes. When I put the pump in the gear, you're going to see one of the changes that we no longer have to select between PSI mode and RPM mode. That was reprogrammed so that now our pumps default to PSI mode automatically. So just give me a second. I'm going to go through the sequence of putting a hand line in service. I'm going to set the pressure that we're trying to pump it at, and then we're going to take water in from a hydrant, and we're basically going to show you the steps that you have available to deal with pressure. So again, with a pressure governor, unlike the TPM, we don't have that built-in capability on the intake side of the pump to dump that excess pressure to the ground. So just like on the TPM, that second stage, if we have too much pressure, the light starts flashing and we're dumping water to the ground. However, with the pressure governor, everything is handled internally. So again, going to go through the steps here real quick and show you that you do have a couple of different ways to try and deal with that excess pressure. So going to put the pump into gear. All right, so as you can see, one of the changes that we talked about, automatically we're already in PSI mode, so we no longer have to select that. So I'm in PSI mode. PSI mode is what we'll use 99% of the time. So I've got a hand line pulled. So 135 is our set pressure on our crosslays. However, just for demonstrating the purpose of what I'm trying to show you, I'm going to pump it at 125. And then we're going to take water in from a hydrant. But currently, right now, with the pressure governor, if the engine itself, whether I want more pressure or I need to reduce pressure, I can do that just by using the throttle. So nothing changes, just use the throttle to go up or down and PSI. So I'm going to go ahead and take water in. All right, so currently I brought water in from the fire hydrant, but as you can see, just by the pump being in gear, giving me 50 couple PSI, and the water coming out of the fire hydrant at around 100 PSI, I've got 145 pounds of intake pressure with the engine being at idle. So now the question is, what do I do to achieve the 125 that I'm trying to pump at? So currently, we're not flowing water. So that's one of the options, right? You need to start flowing water. So I've got the guys opening up that line, and as you can see, I've got 140 on my main discharge. The little red indicator, the little red arrow, which is what you need to be concerned about when you're using these new E1s, it's still trying to pump it at 125, but if you come over here and look, I'm still higher than what I'm really trying to be. Not by much, because now I'm flowing water. So what you need to do now is just start gaining back the actual discharge. So you can control each individual discharge and get 125, which is where I'm trying to be currently.
All right, so Doug did a good job about talking, explaining the pressure governor and how it works, and you could see the reference mark on the dial that the pressure governor is trying to maintain. So if you think about it, back when we had throttles and you as the operator were the pressure governor, right? So if the pressure fell below, the set point, let's just say 125.
Right.
So the guys open up the hand line and they're fighting fire, and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't set it high enough. You throttled up,
Right.
and then if they shut the hand line down and the pressure rose, you're like, hey, I need to back off. So you
Right.
would throttle down. So you in essence were the pressure governor. So the pressure governor on the rig now is doing that work for you. It's really difficult to set pressures when you're not flowing water.
Yeah.
So when you have that static pressure build up and you're gating back, you're like, well, man, this isn't going down. That's why you saw Doug have the guys open up the
Right.
hand line,
Open up the line. Yep.
and then it was easier to do. So, uh, so that's the first option, right? Gate back on the discharge. I think we're all used to that, especially when we're dealing with different hand lines requiring different pressures. You know that you got to gate one back and open the other one up, whatever. So the next option is open up another discharge, right? So, and Doug forgot to go over this, and he felt really bad about it. But
Yeah.
so we'll just talk about it now. So if you think about the operation of the TPM system, it had two stages, right?
Right.
So it had an internal relief valve that would circulate the water back to the booster tank. Number one.
One.
And then it had
Yeah.
a second one that dumped the water on the ground.
Yep.
Right. So you can do that manually.
You can open up another discharge and basically UP the water on the ground.
Yeah.
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 Right.
And if you open up the tank fill on these, that's probably the easiest way to do that, right? And you're essentially doing the same thing as the TPM did.
Right. Right.
So if you're really concerned about the pressure being too high, and you've tried to gate back, and even with the water flowing that's not working, open up that tank fill and let the water just go.
Right.
Now I say that middle of February,
Right.
might want to think about
Right.
putting the water somewhere
Right.
else underneath, other than otherwise underneath your rig, but that would be the second way. So that's the first and second way. The third way, Doug's going to talk about it. Feathering back the intake. He's going to say that that's the last resort, and I agree with that, right? So from an operational perspective, as a pump operator, I always want to have the most water coming into my rig, and then I can control it. But there may be some scenarios where you might want to do that. I'm thinking off the top of my head, you're on a hot hydrant like he was that
Right.
day. You got a supply pumper that's close to you that's pushing a lot of pressure. I think the better option would be to have them limit what they're doing.
Supply.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe even
Limit
not
the
even
supply. Yeah.
not even be pumping it and just let it operate off of the hydrant. But there's a lot of different scenarios that could come into play there.
Right.
So yeah, we can go ahead and roll that one.
All right.
All right, so what we're going to demonstrate now is, so let's just say like I'm gating all the way back. This would only be at higher pressures, but just for demonstrating purposes, we'll say that I've got my water coming in. I'm currently in pump gear. I'm going to go ahead and pull this all the way out. I've still got my 145, but now what you can do, and this will be a last resort scenario, is if you still have too much pressure and the engine is at idle, you've tried gating back the individual hand lines. If you still have too much pressure coming in, and again, last resort, we can gate back the MIV to put us where we want to be. Now, what you have to be mindful of is that should the incident build out, if we throw another line in service, we go to master streams, want to flow more water, I need volume. So I don't want to have my MIV closed because I'm now restricting some volume. So as the incident builds out, if you do close the MIV, you need to be mindful and go back and open it all the way up. So right now I'm closing this MIV, trying to get me to where I want to be. Hey, tell him to flow that line. So see, by gating back that MIV now, you see how I'm getting down. And just by feathering that MIV, I'm able to get it to 125. But again, that's a last resort scenario that you gate back the MIV to get your desired pressure. Just try and let the fire truck do what it's trying to do, and be mindful that if the incident builds out again, I've got to go back and open this back up. So you can hear the engine idle down again because I've gone back and given them the full volume of water that the hydrant's trying to put out. So the bottom line with the pressure governors, we've got ways to deal with excess pressure. Again, old school, the TPM on the intake side, you were able to dump water to the ground if you had too much pressure. We don't have that luxury now because we're using pressure governors, which are more user-friendly to us, right? Get a line in service, bring water into the fire truck, and just let the fire truck do what it's going to do, right? You bring water in from a pressurized source, it's going to idle down and put you right where you want to be. If then I add a line, or if I try to flow even like the deck gun or the ram, and I add water, my pressure then for the is going to go up, and you would hear the fire truck then idle up. So pressure governor, if it's too much pressure, we idle down. Not enough pressure, we idle up. On the PS side of the pump, when we're in mode PSI, that is set to that engine, whether it's increasing or decreasing, is going to set you right where you want to be. Now, if you're on the RPM side of the mode selector, which again, we're only using for drafting and we're using for relay because there's too much inconsistencies in pressure, and we just want to set an RPM to a set, say like 1200 RPMs, and just leave it and then let the truck maintain those RPMs. So if you're in RPM mode, the truck is set and it's just going to keep it there, whether it's got to increase the motor speed or decrease the motor speed. But again, pressure governors, right? You got a couple different ways, right? We can use the throttle to increase or decrease. We can gate back the individual line. Be mindful to try and flow water when you're doing this, because if you're gating back a line that's not flowing water, you're going to have it all the way almost closed and nothing's going to be happening. But as soon as they start to water, you'll see that it's very easy to control. And again, last resort is to gate back that MIV. So that's your options when you're dealing with the pressure governor, and that's the question that we've been fielding most recently as these 9 pumpers have hit the street.
All right. So like to go back. There were some questions that came in on the chat that I think are probably more up your alley than mine.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right.
So observation from a safety officer, shouldn't we be wearing ladder belts when operating any time in the bucket?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I am actually a big supporter of that because these buckets have been known to tip. However, during filming, we were down on the ground, and we had to get the camera guy in there. So, operating right down there, no, there was no ladder belt. Sorry, boss. But we do, and I do. I really do, because if you've been up in one of these new towers, the delay of these things, like we talked about the delay with like setting the tower up, but the tower itself has a severe delay. Just even operating, you get a little bit of drift sometimes with that thing. Like, you really got to watch it. So, yeah, definitely wear your ladder belts.
Yeah, I can remember inspecting them at the factory and like reminding the guys, hey, you need to wear ladder
Dude,
belts. 'Cause-
it gets pretty. I mean, it's pretty significant. I mean, especially compared to the other towers. Like, I've had people come up there, like, whoa, I'm like, it's fine. That's what it does all the time. So, okay, next.
All right, next question. How far can the ladder extend when operating off the side of the truck, parallel to the ground?
Just straight out.
Straight out.
I want to say it's like 91 to 93 feet,
So
something around
pretty
that.
much the full extension.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so when you get that 100 feet, obviously that's taking into account the rig itself as well. But yeah, I mean it'll go out. It's like 91, 93. I will have to double check. I usually do it I usually do it on Mondays, but I'm here today.
Right. Oh, sorry. Sorry to interrupt
That's
your
it.
ladder
No,
checking
no,
schedule.
no, no, no. The guys are back at the station. They're taking care of it. I brought the utility up today,
yeah.
so yeah, I usually do just try and run it out so then I can walk the ladder itself. So
Right. Good
Yeah.
practice. And actually, the mechanics do that on the DOT PM. Also, they I see them out in the parking lot. They've got it fully extended.
Mhm.
Checking.
yeah, definitely got to look
That's
for all
important.
that stuff. So
And it can go below grade too, right? So
yeah,
if you're on a bridge or something, it can
yes,
go further down.
yeah. I mean that's why like I've thought of it like down where we're at Sligo Creek Parkway with these huge storms and things. We get flooded. I mean, I'm telling you, I know it's been a while probably since you've been down there, Chief, since you were in your 12 days, station 12 days, but that parkway gets insane.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times that's what I think of. I'm like, oh man, I can probably set this up if I need to grab somebody going right by. So
Yep. No.
Oh, I got a text here.
Oh,
I got
jeez.
a text. Thanks, Master Fireman Noakes. He looked it up as. Oh wait a minute, never mind. What'd he say? I can't tell. He's texting me as I'm sitting here right now. He said 92 feet. I said 91.
Oh, okay. Make
Close.
sure you get that right. All right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, what else you got on there?
The last question is: the department doing anything differently with the skyrocketing wait times for new apparatus? Actually, that's nothing new. We've been dealing with this since since shortly after I got here, and taken over from Pete Friedman. But if you think so,
For the wait time.
those towers were ordered in
Oh, man.
2020. We put them in service in 23, 24, probably early 24, late 23. So,
Maybe
but
20. I can't remember.
yeah,
But-
it's so are we doing anything differently? I mean, not really. We're working very carefully with OMB to make sure that we have planned out what our capital expenditures are. So the CIP plan operates over a 6-year period, which is a pretty long time. But yeah, it's kind of a nightmare planning that out,
And
knowing that I'm ordering stuff today that I'm never going to see.
Right.
Let's just be honest, right?
Yeah.
With a 2 to 3 year wait time for most stuff, and then 4 years for aerials. It's
is that why? Well, the question that was asked about that with that, if that had to do with just the department or the stuff that's going on like nationwide, because don't they have like they got some stuff going on in the media right now? They were trying to call out people like the manufacturers and the prices and all that stuff. You know
yeah.
what I'm I didn't read the whole.
So there were some hearings on Capitol Hill, and
Yeah.
some senators, and were up there shaking their fingers at the guys from the Rev Group and
Right.
Pierce and whatnot. And I think there's a couple bills that have been introduced. What they're basically alleging is that all of the manufacturers are in cahoots, and kind of fixing the prices,
Yeah.
making
They're
it more expensive.
Price gouging or
Price
whatever.
gouging,
Yeah, price
whatever.
gouging. So
Um,
now whether or not that has to do with anything with the quickness of production.
Yeah, I don't know, and I can't comment. There is a lawsuit that's going on from a municipality in Wisconsin that's saying the same thing, which I found pretty interesting because normally your municipal attorneys don't file cases they don't think are have merit, but it might just be a shot across the bow. I don't know. I don't think it's going to get any better soon.
They do have used fire trucks, right?
They do have used fire.
We're probably not in that market, right? Or we're not in that. We're not in dire straits for that yet.
We're generally the ones that are turning them over.
I know.
Where they're pretty badly beat up.
Yeah.
Like all of our stuff tends to be well loved. Let's just put it
yeah.
that way. Yep.
Yeah. Well loved until it's not.
Right.
Wow.
All right. Well, I think that was it.
Okay.
Uh,
All right.
wow, we're almost an hour and a half into this. That's
Ah,
crazy. Didn't think it would
really
go
nice.
that long today.
Yeah. Well, everybody got a good nap then.
Right?
Yeah. What'd you say? Oh man. Oh. So I think I don't know. We got next. I think that we were going to talk about with not today, but maybe looking into a little dive into the squads,
Yes.
squad life.
Right.
Look at some of that, and don't know when or where, or
Yeah, we'd like to do
who,
it in about a month or so.
but we'll figure that out.
Yep.
So, that's all I got, Chief. Anything else?
Nope. Thanks for your time and attention.
Yep. All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Be safe.
All right. Take care.